Hello there everyone and welcome to another review on the channel, and today we're going to be looking at a very talked about product both positively and negatively, and that is PTSD by Mark Lemon, which is also called Portal to a Single Destination. I think that's what the abbreviation stands for, and this is a very interesting product, a very as I said, both negative and positively talked about one, and I'm kind of on the fence of both. I think there's some really good ideas, but also some very not good ideas with this, where I think other products may shine a bit more than this. So having said that, let's roll the intro so I can develop more my ideas and my thoughts on PTSD. Okay, so you decide to stick around, which means you want to learn more about PTSD. So what is this? This is essentially a thought of card in envelope. I think that is the best way to describe this. So yeah, that's pretty much what it is. And the best way for me to actually kind of give you the insight of this is to give a performance. So you would come up to your specter and you tell them that you're holding here inside of your hand an envelope with something for later. So what you also want to give them is this, an invisible deck. So you're going to give them an invisible deck of cards. You're going to ask them to mix it up and to separate all the number and picture cards. So you're going to put all the number here's, all the numbers here, and all the picture card here. Okay? You're then going to turn around and you're going to tell them to pick up one and place it in your hand. So they're going to pick up one. Now, since I don't have a specter, let's say they pick up these ones. They're going to place it in my hand and say, perfect. So now you're left with these ones on the table. We're going to spread them out and just think of one. You have it? Perfect. Great. So now you say, now you have one card in mind. Now I don't know what cards you gave me to place in the pocket, but you are thinking of one that was left, correct? So there's no way that I could possibly know what you're thinking of. Am I correct in saying that? They would agree. So you say, but I did get an intuition this morning about one specific card. Just for the sake of it, what was the card that you were actually thinking of? And let's say they say the King of Hearts. So you say the King of Hearts. Now that's interesting because I've been holding here one thing in my hand from the start. And it's actually an envelope. And inside of this envelope, there is one card and one card only. And it is, of course, the King of Hearts. And you can show it to them, King of Hearts, inside of the envelope. And then you can place it back inside, close the envelope, and you are reset for your next performance. Okay? So that's a quick presentation of PTSD. Again, I don't have someone with me, so that didn't necessarily look the best. But you did get an idea of how it would play out in the real world. So now that we've said that, let's get over into how much does it cost, where you buy this, and what do you get. So this is essentially available from all your favorite magic dealers. It is available from Vanishing Ink, from Penguin, and other major dealers as well, and probably your local ones too. But personally, I got mine from Illusionist, because if you do buy it from Illusionist, it also comes with Mind Games. If you don't own that, it's a $50 project for Peter Turner and Mark Lemon as an added bonus, as a free incentive for you to buy it from there. So I thought that was cool. So I decided to buy this from Illusionist personally. And this is going to set you back 45 USD. And what you get with your purchase is this big kind of envelope. Inside of this, you are going to get multiple things. One, you're going to get a red envelope such as this one. And you're also going to get a black envelope such as this one. So you can choose in performance if you want a red or a blue or a black. And if ever one of them breaks or runs out or rips or tears or breaks, you can have a spare one. And then you also get your reveals, essentially your reveals. And the way that the reveals work are they're made of plastic, as you saw with the King of Hearts. It is plastic, so it's not paper. So those are going to last you an incredibly long time. So you're going to get that. And then you're also going to get a video tutorial. In that tutorial, there's live performances. He's going to talk about how to set this up, why it works, how it works, inspirations, the pattern, the routining, the scripting of it all, and how to put everything together. So everything is well explained as you would expect with Mark Lemon. Everything is covered. Everything is, really well put together. So you're going to get all of the ideas needed and all the concepts needed in order to get running with this from the start. So what is the difficulty of PTSD? Well, PTSD, contrary to what you may believe, is not as easy as you think. There are a few moving parts here in order for it to work. So one, you're going to have to learn how the gimmicks operate and how to operate them in a clear manner in order for it not to seem fishy or out of place. You're going to have to work on that and put a bit of memory work in order to get accustomed to that and make it work perfectly, okay? So there is a bit of work regarding that you will have to put in. Additionally, there's also a bit of sleight of hand required in order to operate everything and to reveal everything that you will need to know in order to perform the effect. So it's not a super easy effect. Personally, I would say it's intermediate. I wouldn't say it's easy nor super hard. I would say it's intermediate. It will require work and it will require a bit of practice to get everything down to the T. Now, in terms of practicality, all you need in order to perform the effect is this envelope. So this could easily go in your wallet, in your top pocket, or anywhere that you want, and you will be good to go. So that's all you need to carry around with you. Now, in terms of angles, the angles of this are strictly 180, okay? So this is not something you can perform surrounded whatsoever. In terms of inspectability, this is not inspectable at all, nor is the envelope, nor is the card, so nothing is inspectable here whatsoever. The angles, as I've said, it is pretty much 180, which paired with the non-inspectability could be a big issue for some people. You do not need a table to perform this. This is repeatable, but I wouldn't recommend you repeat it because the outcomes, even though they are free, they aren't that free, if you know what I mean. So that is something to keep in mind as well regarding this effect. And the reset is instant, okay? Now let's move on to where do you perform. So where would you perform PTSD? PTSD is definitely something that you do close up, table hopping. This is something that would work well on Zoom or virtual shows or anything like this. Personally, this is not something I would do on stage or parlor cabaret. I think there are better versions, cleaner versions, and more fun versions that you can do for those scenarios, okay? So even though this works for those specific scenarios as well if you want, I think you do have better options out there. Specifically, Cardvertisement by Michel Huot, I think, would blow this out of the water in those type of scenarios every single day of the week. But for close-up scenarios, this is very good, and as kind of the product says that there is no off by one, that is completely true, but that also comes to some negatives because there's a lot of comparisons between this and Heritage. Yes, Heritage, there's a bit of linguistic gymnastics that you have to do, but everything at the end is technically examinable. Is technically examinable, not fully, but it does feel a bit more free, whereas here, nothing is examinable at all. So there is that, to ponder. Do you want to have Heritage or this? Both of them have their pros and cons. And personally, if you ask me to choose between the two, I think that Heritage is a bit better in the story it tells, but PTSD is better in the way of how free it feels. So that is what you have to ponder within that and how you want to use them. So having said that, let's get into the positives and negatives. So one of the major negatives of PTSD is that nothing is examinable. Neither is the card, neither is the envelope. Second of all, the angles are restricting, so you have to be 180 in order to perform this in its best shape and form. And third of all, for an effect, such as this one, the fact there is quite some memory work and some effort that has to be put into it is not a major issue, but it is something that for some people, considering the fact that it is not inspectable, you're tight on angles, and the fact it is, not a free choice every single time, maybe having to put in the work and effort to learn this won't be justified. However, let's go on to the positives. The instructions are very good. The materials that you get are also very good. The routine is straightforward. There is no off by one, that is true. The procedure used here is very smart and very devious, as is with most Mark Lemon stuff. So this is very interesting in the way that it works and operates. And I do think it is a very new method. I've never seen anyone ever use such a method for an effect like this. And overall, it is what it promises to be if you read the product page. So saying all this, do I recommend PTSD and do I like it? Now, if you are looking for something table hopping, casual, to have in your wallet, one named or thought of card will be in an envelope, and you don't mind uninspectability, tight angles, and whatnot, then I do think PTSD is very good in that regard, and I think it will deliver for you in what you are looking. However, for stage, parlor, other scenarios, I think there is much better out there. And even for the close-up scenarios, there are a ton of other effects such as this that you could perform and maybe you prefer. You know, Instagrab is something that comes to mind. Heritage is something that comes to mind. There was the other brother effects that got a lot of slack, but that I personally really liked with the Sharpies. I think it's called Summit. That comes to mind as well. So there are effects that come to mind that you can use, such as this, that have both their pros and cons. So it really depends up to you what you want. So overall, I am going to say that PTSD depends on your style if it is for you or not. Personally, for me, this is not something I'm going to carry with me at my gigs. This is probably something I'll just put in the pocket of my carrying case, and that I'm going to be using at an opportune moment if ever that arises, maybe at the end or the start of a gig. If someone just wants something quick and I just want to move and get into the event or leave the event, this could be something I'm going to do, but it's not going to be a mainstay. So because of that, I'm giving PTSD a 7 out of 10. It is good, it has its positives, it has its negatives, but personally it's not going to be something I'm necessarily going to be always performing and carrying with me, but it is still a fun product. So having said all of this, thank you everyone for watching, and I'll see you all in my next review. Have a great one, and bye.